Hello, I'm Joseph Vargas, Multimedia Coordinator for Doña Ana County, and welcome to the Doña Ana County Podcast. Today, I'm here with Amanda Bowen, Emergency Manager for Doña Ana County, and I'm here with Joy Chavez, the Deputy Emergency Manager for Doña Ana County. So now, Amanda and Joy, can you walk us through the incidents that happened recently with the flash flooding to our county? I know it happened both south and north. Can you kind of run us through the first couple of hours? How was it from y'all's perspective?
So we had some significant flash flooding affect our state and particularly our county. In early mid-July, we had some heavy rains that were in the watershed up above Rincon that affected the Rincon community fairly significantly. We were starting to work through some recovery pieces with the Rincon community when on July 22nd, we had some more really impactful rains that hit Vado, Del Cerro, and Berino. Our crew, we had a great team of responders that came together on that evening, worked through the night in order to do some rescues. The watershed up above experienced some significant rainfall, 2 to 3 inches, and that really, as the water came down, it washed across the interstate and down into the community. And so lots of people had impacts, whether they were up on the interstate in vehicles, on frontage roads in their vehicles, or down in their homes. And so we had a great team of responders who came together and really helped perform those rescues the night of. And we've been working through response ever since.
Okay, Joy, do you have anything to tell from your perspective? How was it for you guys?
Everything moved quickly. I think we didn't really have a moment to really think about what we needed to do. We just, got on and got all the services that we needed to get in place.
So part of how it unfolded for all of us really was that we started getting 911 calls. The community felt the impacts of the rain as it was falling localized there, but then as it was coming down the watershed and starting to fill up into the lower areas, the lower lying areas. So we started getting 911 calls and had responses from the Doña Ana County Fire and Rescue Team, Las Cruces Swift Water Team, State Police was assisting, the Mesilla Valley Search and Rescue, Mesilla Fire Department, lots of response agencies were really involved there. And when they started to see that their resources were being overextended a little bit and needed some more support, we did request some aid and received help from the National Guard, who our local guard came and helped do some of those rescues as well. Wow. So while they were, like I said, really feeling the impacts and not being able to get to the 911 calls as quickly as they would hope, we at the EOC, what we call it is activate the EOC, and that means that a lot of coordination entities come together in order to ensure that there's a very coordinated response, and the resources that are not available we can request from outside or be able to manage any outstanding needs. Part of what our Emergency Operations Center did was to call in the Red Cross, who opened up a what we call an emergency shelter the night of. And so they were able to get the Vado Community Center open to the community so that as they were fleeing their home or being rescued, they could then go into the community center, have a safe place to dry off, get a snack, and take some respite until we could then figure out what next steps look like for them. We had a bunch of community partners really step up that day. Boone Transportation helped us. They're a bus company for Gadsden Independent School District. They came in and helped us to transport people who were moved off-site and not able to get to the community center to then bring people to safety. So lots of amazing partners that really came together. And as she said, like the Flood Commission, Elephant Butte Irrigation District, there are subject matter experts really helped in the Emergency Operations Center to guide us as to what we could expect in the coming days as far as those floodwaters and that kind of thing.
Just to add, Joseph, to the National Weather Service is a critical partner, an amazing partner that we, seek guidance from as well, because they can see firsthand what our weather is going to do next, or at least they can kind of see where it's moving. So that really gives us a bird's eye view on what we need to prepare for So
wow, very cool.
Yeah.
That's actually a good segue into my next question, because my next question was going to be, who else was involved? Because I know you mentioned a lot of governmental entities and then a lot of even private companies, right? So who else was involved with the whole operation or rescue even? And then how did that coordination how did you guys work so well together?
Sure.
How did that work, right?
So we plan regularly. Part of our job in Blue Sky Days is really to have coordinated plans so that it comes together fairly seamlessly when we do have impacts. We know flooding is one of our worst hazards here, and so we try to plan extensively. It's not always as clean and clear as we would hope, but we had a lot of the partnerships built ahead of time. So of those partners I mentioned, they were all really beneficial to us on day one, but there have been so many who've come together in the days following. So like looking at the next day, we were able to stand up what we call a disaster recovery center. Usually that takes some time to pull together, but because we have our group called the COAD, a Community Organization Active in Disaster, that COAD is a group of groups, the do-gooders in our community that all the time, Blue Sky Days are doing really great things to help the community. We have a group that coordinates so that during disaster times we can then utilize them in an organized fashion to provide that help out. And so we were able to stand up the Disaster Recovery Center, like I said, on day 2, and that had services from, again, Red Cross was there for a few weeks. Salvation Army provided feeding for like 3 weeks for 240 people, three hot meals a day. We had groups like Sandoval Construction, who is an amazing community partner, came together and tried to help people pump water off their property, do some repairs that as they were able to on private property. And as a government entity, we're sort of limited to the kind of help we can offer individual citizens. So it was amazing to see those kinds of entities come together.
Wow, that's amazing. You know, I'm sitting here listening to you guys just list people that helped out, just keep on going. That's amazing. You know, that's a testament to how well our community helps out in need, right? So,
For sure.
And then I heard you mention that how you kind of got expanded with your abilities, and then we know that the commission convened and we had the declaration signed by the governor. And then how did that expand your capabilities?
So our county, I think, is a really amazing county to live in. They really put the needs of our citizens at the forefront. And from our perspective. And so when we let them know that a lot of our resource pools were being depleted and we really needed outside help, they came together in an emergency meeting and provided the disaster declaration at our recommendation. We let them know the impacts of the incident, the types of groups that were coming forward, and really that we needed to expand upon that. And so we were able to have the disaster declaration issued, and that did a couple of things for us. First of all, that allowed us to access private roads in a way that we can't usually. Because of the state of emergency, we could make roads passable. There's lots of things we can't go in and now pave private roads as a result of this, but providing emergency access to our citizens is important. And so that disaster declaration helped us to do those sorts of things. And then as we declared a disaster, then the state issued their own, and that really was an impetus for them to be able to assist us as well. And then ultimately filed for a federal disaster declaration. And that really just provides an immense number of additional resources that we wouldn't have otherwise.
So in addition to anything else, how did our local emergency declaration help you guys with this effort? Did it help you expand even further?
It did. So in a pretty unprecedented decision, the county commission stepped forward, again, I think putting our citizens at the forefront of their decision making, and provided what's called the disaster housing program. They provided funds that will go direct to the citizens that were impacted by this incident. And so if a resident was displaced as a result of the flooding, this provided funds direct to them.
These funds were extremely critical during this time, so it allowed us to make sure that the residents were taken care of, and then we could proceed with bringing in any additional support that they might have needed at that very moment, like Amanda had mentioned, with our DRC being stood up so quickly. So it just really allowed us to have those things on hand fairly quickly while not having to worry about how are we going to help the residents financially, you know.
So for the residents that are still kind of going through some stuff, or they're still kind of recovering from this incident, what do they go for?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are very fortunate with this federally declared disaster that we received or were added on to have FEMA here with us presently. So what we did was we reopened the disaster recovery center once again, and it's at the Vado del Cerro Community Center. And there's case workers at the center, and they're all bilingual. Right. They can go and talk face to face, provide the documents, really have that one-on-one. And once they bring in the documents, if those aren't the right documents or whatever is being requested for them, then they can ask questions, they can go through the application process, but not do it alone. And that's what's most important for us, to make sure that our residents feel supported during this time, because unfortunately it's not going to be something that we can repair overnight. This is going to go long term, but we want to get them into a place where, you know, they're comfortable, they're safe first and foremost. So we encourage all our residents to, if they haven't gone already, to please go into the DRC and speak to somebody that's there. They're there to help. They're eager to help. Mm-hmm. And what we've heard so far is that the turnaround's been pretty quick. So as soon as they apply, somebody's going out to their homes, assessing their homes, making sure. If not, we have other avenues. Like we have been fortunate enough to have credits issued through Airbnb. They were so gracious enough to have our residents issued credits so they can have somewhere safe to stay. And so we have that available to them. If they are needing any other assistance through FEMA, we're also actually working with disaster case management. We're getting ready to ramp that up. So any unmet needs that the residents may have, then we'll have a better view of what other services we need to bring to them to make sure that their needs are met at this point in time. So we've been incredibly grateful for all the help, but so far that's what they have. There's still services that are available to them. We have 211 available. That line they can call.
211.
211, thank you. And, you know, both partners, United Way and Community Foundation of Southern New Mexico, have been really working so hard to get those checks out to our residents. So, you know.
And funds are also available through Red Cross. So if someone hasn't engaged, there's really 3 places that we ask them to do an intake with. Mm-hmm. We realize it feels redundant to them, but they're very separate processes that do different things and have different thresholds. And so it's important for everybody to go through each of those. That's our disaster housing program.
Okay.
That has an application. The Red Cross has an intake process, and then FEMA's process. And so making sure that they do all 3. They may qualify with one and not another, but we encourage them to register for each one of those as options.
Also, something we actually forgot to mention was the Small Business Association, which is available there as well. They're providing loans to the residents that have been affected, and those loans, if the resident qualifies, can be used towards repairs or, you know, anything that they may need in during rebuilding.
Oh wow!
You know,
these are really like low interest loans that maybe you don't get funding through any other source, but it's an option for you to still be able to fund the repairs you need or get the help you need. And so some cases the loan might be the only option, and we encourage residents, whether it's the FEMA intake process or the SBA loan process, they both have the same timeline. So there is a kind of a clock associated with people registering. We encourage everyone to register before September 21st for both processes. Even if you don't think you might need the loan, if you don't apply, you're not eligible for it by that date. Right. But if you do apply, then you have options. And just by applying, you're not taking on a loan. You're just saying, I'm interested in this. Okay. And it then qualifies the residents there.
Absolutely. So there's several options. We wanted to be able to bring several options to, you know, different households, different needs, different living situations. But first and foremost, just the safety of our community was our number one priority. So it's been an ongoing process, making sure that hasn't been an overload for the community, but also making it as simple as possible.
Right, okay. Wow. Well, definitely from what I'm hearing, a lot of community effort and collaboration.
Most
and,
definitely.
you know, that's probably a testament to our days when we're planning. We're planning ahead. We're keeping it going. Communication's going. So with that being said, did we miss anything? Is there anything else for the residents that you want them to know or know about? How are things going now?
So I would say we're just starting the recovery process. We have a long way to go. We know that it's going to take some time. While the waters come fast, the recovery process is not so fast, and we understand that. And so we're committed to helping our citizens long term. There's lots of departments within the county, community partnerships that will continue to stay with this. And so if there's an unmet need, something that a community member needs, we have a disaster case management team set up. We plan to have that set up for probably about a year, maybe longer if it's needed, where there's an individual they can call and let someone know that they have a need. There will be a group called the Long-Term Recovery Group that can pull together, assess that need, and then be able to make sure that need is met. And so we're committed to the long term,
Right.
not only in individual household needs to make sure that they're put back to where they were before the floods, but also to make sure that we do some mitigation in the community to ensure that this doesn't happen again. Again, that's not a short-term fix. Unfortunately, lots of engineers and other people need to be involved in that. But through those partnerships, Flood Commission, the Community Development Department, Health and Human Services, facilities, lots of entities really come together. And then our outside partnerships that we've mentioned, we all are kind of coming together, making sure that we're in this for the long term to help, again, both the Rincon community and the Vado, Del Cerro, and Berino communities to make sure that they know that we're with them. And know we don't live in their homes and have to see and feel what they feel every day, but we are committed to helping them through this.
Right. Yeah. No, that's excellent. As a resident of the county, I'm very happy to hear all this information, all how we all got together as a team. I just want to echo some words from our county manager, Scott Andrews. Just please get involved. Please come to our meetings, participate in our local government, right? Thank you guys. Thank you guys for joining in. And my last most important question. This is going to throw everybody weird, right? It's going to throw you a curveball.
Okay.
Red or green?
Are we in Las Cruces when you ask me this question?
Does it depend?
It
Does it
does,
change?
it
How
does.
how does the answer change?
Northern New Mexico is red, southern New Mexico is green. Anything south of Hatch, we're going to need to be green all the way. Maybe really south of Socorro, we're going to need to be green.
Green, Joseph, all the
Right,
way,
okay.
always.
Whoa. See, I didn't know about the geographical divide. I didn't know about that.
I grew up in northern New Mexico, so
Wow.
the red chili is just different there.
Hey, I'm gonna do the safe answer. I'm just gonna say Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always a good one.
So like I said, thank you guys for joining us today on the podcast, and
Thanks for
thank
having
you
us.
guys for listening and joining us in. And if you guys have any questions or have any additional resources, please make sure to check the description below. We're gonna include all the numbers. I believe the number was 211.
Yes, sir.
Correct.
Okay, cool. So make sure to hit 211, and please, to the residents of Doña Ana County, please be safe. Please have fun, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thank you guys. Y'all be safe.
Thanks.